Hello, welcome to my playthrough of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I am going to be playing the main story. I've looked at the various game difficulties, and after speaking to a friend, he suggested that the right level of challenge for this game would be hard mode. I've completed Baldur's Gate 3 on honor mode, and he's convinced that this is going to be harder for me. So instead of going straight to unfair, we're going to look at hard and see just how difficult this is going to play. I have also had a little playthrough in the first act just for clarity, just so I can understand the game mechanics, the different types of classes, all the different options there are, and there are many. So I don't for 1 second suggest that I am an expert in this, but I do have some idea of how the game plays, so I'm not coming into this completely blind, but I cannot emphasize just how overwhelming the choices in classes are. It's just mind-boggling. So anyway, let's move into the character creation screen, and we will be picking a custom character because I've never been a fan of pre-made characters. Most of the fun of these games is in the character creation for me. Yes, so as far as portraits, there's not a great deal of selection standard. I haven't put in a custom one, I'm kind of lazy on that sort, but I will pick. So what will I pick here? Seems appropriate. I'm going to be playing human. I'm going to be playing let's have a look. No, it looks a bit rangery. I do like rangers, but I'm not going to be playing a ranger this time around. Maybe yes, I will give this guy a try, I think. Okay, let's move into the class selection screen. So, as you can see here, there are many classes to choose from, and a whole bunch here that I have never seen before. Looks like you have to meet some prerequisites to get into these. But for now, I think I am going to ignore those, for my main character at least. And I'm going to play a bit more of a standard character. My aim is to play with most of the companions you get during the game if possible. My initial thoughts on looking at some of them look playable, some of them look like they've been severely hampered with the choice selections that you get, because you don't get them from level 1 like you can do in Baldur's Gate. You get them at the level where you find them, and some of the pre-selections aren't the best from what I can tell, but yeah, we will work around this and do our best. So I'm going to look at fighter, I think, because one of the things I noticed when I was doing my pre-playthrough, just to get to grips with it, is there seem to be a lot of castery types, a lot of range types, sorry, and one potential tank, but there was very little in the way of melee DPS available to me. So I feel like to get a balanced party, I'm going to be looking at a melee DPS type. I have looked at, in my sort of pre-playthrough, I did play a ranger because I love rangers, and a demon slayer, and that, to be honest, was a very good character. I enjoyed that a lot, and I think I will come back to it, but maybe one day. But I don't particularly like to repeat myself, so I'm going to try something new. I also looked at potentially the cavalier and the gendarme, because that looked quite interesting. I like the idea of getting the animal companion riding on a horse early and splatting things, but I don't know again how good that would be later game. What else did I look at? I looked at Inquisitor, Sanctified Slayer. Yes, I did look at that one too. again, looked interesting. Studied target, I can see how that could be a benefit. Basically giving you an extra attack bonus against different different opponents. The sneak attack thing, I'm not quite sure how the sneak attack works on this game yet, but yeah, added damage is always nice. What else did I look at? And then I did look at some castery types, but as I said, once I sort of had a look at the early companions, they were all castery types or bow types for the main part, so it felt like I'd be doubling up there. So in the end, I've settled on a fighter, and I'm just going to try Mutation Warrior. So the Mutation Warrior just looked like a little bit of a sort of a nice change from the standard sort of fightery types. It's got this thing called mutagens, which look like, if I can look at this, it looks like you can increase your strength based on a penalty to intelligence, which I probably wouldn't need, or dexterity for a penalty to wisdom, or constitution for a penalty to charisma. So it gives you options for giving yourself a stat boost, which I feel like is always going to be useful. You get bonus combat feats, you get weapon training. Fighter can select one group of weapons. Whenever he attacks with a weapon from this group, he gains +1 bonus on attack and damage rolls. Again, just feels like that would be useful. It does seem like that the sort of enemies are going to have high AC, and so extra attack roll, extra bonuses on your attack, and that got to be beneficial. They also have so you got bravery, which gives you also against fear. That always seems a good idea. Get this discovery thing, which I'm not really sure what that is yet, but we'll find out. You lose out on the armor training, but my theory is I'm going to have a tank type, and he will fight from behind with some kind of reach weapon. So I feel like maybe the armor training isn't so important. What else have we got? Yeah, so going through here, he seems to have a few interesting things. It's not just your bog standard fighter. It has a little bit of variety. So I am going to persist with that. Okay, race now. Again, just so much choice. Yeah, it's not just the choices you on here. Sometimes there's sub races beneath some of these things as well. A huge choice, but just because I'm boring and I feel like the bonus feat early on is going to be so beneficial, I'm going to be a human because I just feel more comfortable playing humans. So I'm going to go with that, because I think and then you do get an extra skill as well, which can't hurt is the way I look at it. There's no negatives to it. You can choose your bonus ability. It just feels like the right choice for what I'm going for. Again, and then background selection. There is just so many of these. You've got each one of these has got so many underneath it. There's just choice after choice. You can use, as far as I can tell, you can use this to get like training in something that maybe you wouldn't have training in, but being a fighter, I think I get quite a lot of options already. I get martial weapons, simple weapons, shield, tower shield, armor up to heavy already, so I don't feel like I need much in the way of extra weapon choice, although the weapon that I do want to choice isn't available on here either, because I think I'm going to go exotic and is it Fauchard, I think it's pronounced, because looking at the ranged weapons that are available to me, that one has a really nice sort of critical range, and in most of these games critical hits are king, so that is my reasoning behind that. say I want a reach weapon so I can hide behind the main tank and hopefully not get hit too often and deal out some dishy damage. So that's kind of the sort of method in my approach to this. So again, you've got so many choices in here. You can get some skill bonuses, which I feel like are fairly underwhelming. Again, more armor weapon proficiencies that I don't need. Trickery, mobility. I'm not really going to be stealthy because I'm going to have heavy armor. Or am I going to be having heavy armor? I might have medium armor, but I'm going to have armor, and I feel like that's going to impact the trickery option, stealth option. So, and I don't feel that like this character is going to be particularly stealthy. He's just going to go in there and absolutely smash things. So I'm going to avoid those. What have I got here? So use magic device. I don't know, it might be useful, although I'm not going to make it particularly magical. It might be useful to, I don't know, get a shield or something from a scroll, or I don't know, something from a potion. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether that will be beneficial or not, but I'm going to stay away from it and leave that to my casters, I think. The regional stuff is interesting. It has various bits and pieces, like, you know, maximum increases your hit points, and perception, law, mobility. I feel like mobility might be useful to avoid being hit, maybe. This one was quite interesting because of the 5 cold resistance, but again, I think I should have the axe proficiency already, maybe. So what the long and short of it is, oh yeah, these are the only other ones that I saw that were a little bit different. Like, you can use your wisdom instead of charisma for attempting persuasion checks. Could be useful. You can use intelligence instead of wisdom while attempting law and nature checks, but I'm not going to have a lot of that. Adds mobility and law to the list of class skills. Improved unarmed. I'm not going to be unarmed. So yeah, it's what did I settle on in the end? Oh yes, I settled on, after looking through this, pickpocket. Not really sort of fitting with my character, but 2 bonus on initiative rolls. I feel like, obviously in other games I've played, if you get to act first, it can be the difference between winning and losing combat. So I feel like that is actually going to have the most impact on my character. I may be wrong on this, but yeah, I'm not going to be using the trickery or stealth particularly, or at all, because I'm going to have other characters doing that. But I just feel like the initiative is where I'm going to feel the benefit, so that's what I'm going to go with. Right, now allocating the ability points. So I mean, it gives you a suggestion of where to put it in, and I always find this quite challenging to get how I want it. I always second guess myself, but I think, and I've noticed, as you increase your ability points, the amount of skill points it takes to increase the ability higher goes up. So it's not just a case of, it's not an equal distribution. So yeah, I'm losing 2 points there to go up 1. I'm losing 3 points now to go up 1. And yeah, so I've used up quite a lot of points to get my strength to 19. Now I normally like to even the ability points out, but that 4 is a big chunk there, because you get the extra modifier if you go to 20. But what I've seen is, as you go through the levels, you get to add a point to one of your abilities every 4 levels I think it is. So that gives me 5 points over the course of my character to increase, and that will make that a round number, because I feel like you're going to get the most benefit by adding it to your highest one, because it takes the most points to increase it at this point, at this part of the game. So I'm going to leave it at 19, an odd number, so that I can add 5 to it and get it up to 24. So, and it also leaves me a few more points then to put into other things. And I don't know, I'm going to go medium armor, and that dexterity does add to your initiative, so I'm going to add a couple of points to that just to give me I know there's no point in pushing my dexterity too high if I've got armor, because it looks like the armor limits you most of the time on your dexterity. Again, there might be armor further on in the game where that's not a problem, but early on I noticed that was definitely the case. I do again want to give myself an extra bit of initiative. Constitution, I don't feel like I need to go too high on Constitution. I know it sounds strange, but I'm not going to be the one, well, if I'm playing correctly, I'm not going to be the one getting hit, because I want my tank to be doing that. So again, but it does give you an increase in your fortitude. Is it fortitude? Yeah, fortitude. The dexterity hits your reflex, and is it your wisdom affects your will. So I'm going to be looking to increase those. I've got 6 points left. I don't see, I'm not going to be a charismatic character. That's not my aim. I know you can use it for intimidation, but I just don't feel like that's going to be necessary. I don't need a lot of intelligence. Again, I'm not looking to be a bright character, I'm looking to be a strong character, so I don't like dumping stats normally. Just feels, well, any negatives just hurt me. But I could take that down to 8, I guess, to give me a little bit more somewhere. Charisma, channel, use magic to best, skill checks, persuasion. It's just because I guess as a main character there's going to be times you're going to need to persuade people. I don't want to take that down to negative, but yeah, I just don't know. So I'm going to increase my dexterity up another couple, just to give me a little bit more. Oh, you get a bit of AC for that as well. Okay, yeah, because the AC modifier. It increases my reflex a little bit. It just feels useful. And it's just a case of, do I want a little bit more constitution, resisting death effects, poison, disease, etc., or negating the effects of charm and other spells. I mean, I hate getting charmed in certain games, so I don't know, I just feel like that would be really useful. It leaves me with 2 points, which means I'm not going to be able to round anything up. So I'm going to push my intelligence back up again, because I've just remembered the mutagens will impact either int or char for the things I want. And yeah, and if I drop them already, I'm going to be virtually brainless, I guess. I'm running the risk of having too much of a penalty in those areas. So I think I will leave it like that. Where's our constitution? I mean, I'm not going to be using wisdom for any kind of casting. I don't think that it benefits me in any way, shape or form. But I do like the additional resistance. Constitution, so to death effects, poison, disease and similar threats. It's always like cure poisons and diseases in these games. As I say, I don't think the hit points is that important to me, because I'm not going to be the main tank. If I get hit, I'm just going to get hit and it's going to hurt, and having a few extra hit points, not sure that's really going to help me. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stick with what I've gone with, I think. As I say, I always second guess myself on these things, and it can become quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Quite, yeah, I can be forced into inaction because I just can't make up my mind. I'm sure the word will come back to me. Anyway, we'll move on to the skills. So I have 4 skill points because I get the bonus for being human. Now, one of the things I noticed on here is there's on mobility. I'm sure it gives you an impact if you need to fight defensively. There's also a skill to try and avoid opportunity attacks if you need to move around. I think it goes up to 3 points you need as a minimum. So I'm going to put 1 in there. I'm not going to go mad on it. Because I've got high strength, my athletic skill is going to be good. I am going to be wearing armour, but I guess if there's a particular athletic skill check, I could just take the armour off to do it. Just feels like I'm not going to have too many other characters that are going to be good in this area, so I need to be focusing on that. I'm going to choose persuasion, just because it's a class skill, that's good. And I just think your main character quite often needs to do a bit of persuading when chatting to people in game, and that might be the case in this game. And then the final one I'm going to go for, because I just don't feel like I'm going to benefit. I'm going to leave these for my castery types. Maybe I'll look at use magic device. I don't think so, but I think perception is going to be useful. I know it's not. I know I haven't got a big bonus in that area, but particularly in Baldur's Gate 3 and other ones, everyone throws a perception check as they're walking around. It just gives you more chance to find the hidden items and things if you've got it, and possibly spot traps and the like. And because he's going to be near the front, if not at the front, I just feel like perception would be a good choice. Okay, so that's that. Wow, still plenty more to go through. Okay, so I have 2 feats, a combat feat, deity choice, and alignment choice. Okay, so I'm not sure what restrictions the bonus combat feat will give us, so I might, when I get to that point, I might come back and re-pick my feats depending on what choices are given to me there. But I'm going to go straight into weapon proficiency Fauchard. So when I tested this before, and I don't know if this was luck or part of the game, but when I picked this, it gave me a Fauchard as one of the first things in the game, and obviously if that's the area I want to focus in, seems like the best place to start. So yeah, and it will I'm hoping make my initial progress easier. So I'm going to go with that, and then we'll find out if I was just lucky the previous game I played, or if that is a built-in mechanic, so that if you pick one of these things, then you get that weapon. So we will see on that one. We can then look at there's so many feats to choose from, but I think my main focus on this character is going to be 1, increasing my chance to hit, and 2, doing as much damage as I can when I hit. That is the goal of this character, I think. And one of the things that certainly looks like is going to be important, because it seems to be a prerequisite for some interesting other feats, and just by the description itself, right, you do take a penalty on the attack roll, but it increases your damage. This damage goes up with 2-handed weapons, which is my plan, and then when you go up in levels, your attack bonus goes up, and then it increases the damage that you can do. It does also increase the penalty, but I get the option of turning that off if I'm facing someone that I just can't hit, and I'm sure there's other ways of improving my attack, you know, through buffs and things. So yeah, I think that makes sense to me as a choice early on. You know, hit hard. If you're going to hit, do some damage is what I say. Okay, so that's that one, and then I've got the option here. Focus strike. When winning two-handed weapon with two hands and using the power attack feat, you do not suffer power attack's penalty on melee attack rolls on the first attack. You still suffer the penalty on others. So obviously early on that would be beneficial because the first attack isn't going to take the penalty. However, with most of these games, you get lots of attacks as you you increase the number of attacks as you go through it, and that, I feel that's going to have a minimal payoff. So I'll get the benefit early, but I feel like it's going to have a small payoff later on in the game, and maybe be a bit of a throwaway feat. I mean, I might have so many feats that it doesn't matter. It certainly looks like you get a lot of feats on this character, and lots of bonus combat feats. It all looks interesting, and this bravery is good for will saves, and you've got weapon training. You seem to get a lot on here. Maybe when I get up to this end, I'm going to be struggling to find a feat, and I wouldn't have missed throwing one away on Focus Strike. I don't know. It also suggests that maybe I didn't need to be human because I'm going to get so many feats, but I'm sure having more feats can't be a bad thing. The point blank shot, I mean, that's just on ranged. I'm not going to be ranged, so that seems like a pointless feat to me. The weapon focus one, now that does interest me because it gives you a bonus on all attack rolls. It also leads to greater weapon focus, weapon specializations. I don't know if I need penetrating strikes, because again, it feels maybe, I don't know. You got dazzling display and shattered defences. These sort of things, they all look good, but in my experience at the higher levels of games, you don't get through these of your enemy's defences that easy. So you can make a persuasion check, which my persuasion isn't going to be great, and most of them will just save against it because they have such high stats or resistances or whatever. So I kind of feel like the focus is on things that you can use to benefit yourself, rather than trying to get through, rather than sort of buffs rather than debuffs is what I'm trying to say, because most of your debuffs tend to get resisted at higher levels. So I don't feel like that area is something that I'm going to focus on unless there is a way of, I don't know, almost guaranteeing you can can make them shaken or frightened further on. I don't know, they might be, but if there's any chance of them resisting it, my guess is they will. So my aim is to be looking at more at the sort of focus and specializations that happen every time. So I'm going to get that bonus to attack rolls every single time. It's not going to be dependent on something there, and yes, of course they might resist my actual attack, but they're going to have more chance of it resisting my actual attack if I don't have it. So I don't feel like they're wasted feats. So unless I see something better, I think that's where I'm going to go. Okay, what other things have we got here? Blind fight. Reroll your mischance. Seems like a situational thing. Might be more useful further into the game. Cleave, you can make a single attack at your full base count with base attack bonus against, again, similar to my previous thoughts. One that could be good early on, but are you really going to trade multiple attacks for a single attack to foes within reach? I guess it's depends how many foe. No, it's against a foe, isn't it? So it's only against the one. So at the moment you've got 2 attacks or more, this becomes pointless. But then one of the ones I did like the look of, and if I'm honest, I did try it out, was this cleave and finish. Now, if I'm going to be the high damage dealer and I kill someone, I instantly do another attack against an opponent, and I think I don't have to use cleave on that. That is going to be with all of my attacks, so that becomes an interesting choice. I feel like that could, certainly against the weaker opponents, could like trigger quite often. Again, single attack stuff I'm not completely sold on for the reasons I've said before. You can use cleave and finish any number of times per round. Oh, so is that only once per round, is it? Okay, you may make only 1 extra attack per round. Again, may or may not be useful depending on how often you have multiple enemies surrounding you. Combat reflexes, additional attacks of opportunity, always nice, based on your dexterity. Well, my dexterity, it's okay. I imagine you can dodge for a bit of extra AC. As I said, I'm trying to avoid getting hit in the first place, so maybe not needed. Improved initiative, yeah, definitely something I'll be grabbing later, because as I say, attacking first is king in most of these games. Precise strike. When you and an ally are flanking the same creature, you deal an additional 1d6 point of precision damage with each attack. Bonus damage stacks with other sources. Again, 1d6 extra damage early on, maybe, but later, really? Not sure that's going to really change anything. It's not multiplied on a critical hit, so I don't know, it doesn't feel like a massive one that I'm going to be looking at. I'm not going to be having a shield because I'm going two-handed. Sunder Armour. Yeah, also grants 2 bonus to CMB. So 2 bonus to CMD. You can attempt to sludge armour. Again, these are sort of things I feel like they're going to resist a lot. So not where my focus is going to be early on, particularly until I get a feel for where, how effective that will be. Then yeah, I've got to agree, I don't think any of those are going to be useful to me. And then we move into the stuff that we don't qualify for yet. There's a lot, it's got to be said. Anything that says improved critical, I am going to be all over, but that doesn't happen until I have an attack bonus of 8, so it's a lot further into the game. So we'll pick up, we'll have a look at these further in the game. Outflank. Now this is one I definitely, when I had a little look through, feel like we could be clever with this by giving this to multiple characters, because flanking seems quite easy to trigger. It looks like you just have to stand next to the same enemy. You don't have to be like to the side or behind them or anything like that. Any bonus to attack, free attack bonus basically, you get an extra 4. I feel like I'm always going to have at least 2 people around the same, or certainly, yeah, most of the people I'm attacking. And then you also get a critical hit. It provokes an attack of opportunity as well. I think that could certainly get messy if I can work on getting my critical hits across my characters to get multiple critical hits. I just feel like that could be a good way to up my DPS. And as I say, there's a whole host of others here, which, I mean, who's got the time to look for all of these? But I'm sure there's some good stuff. I'm just gonna keep going and see what naturally comes out, and maybe when I'm starting to run out of choices, I'll do a bit more looking and make sure I can get the prerequisites of the things that I might want. Okay, so that's chosen. I've got my weapon proficiency, I've got cleave, and I've got power attack. I've got cleave? I didn't know I was going to be cleave later. I'm going for weapon focus because I want to be able to hit more often. That's right. I might go for cleave next because I want that cleaving finish, but we'll see. Okay. And we will move on. Right, deity. Again, I haven't really got to grips with the benefits or the negatives of choosing different deities yet. It looks to me like the main thing here is picking your alignment. So if you pick a certain deity, you're limited to the type of alignment that you have. I'm assuming that if you have this alignment, then your choices through the game, you have to try and stay in those alignments where possible. There may be some penalties to it, I don't know. But you know, I'm going to be a typical good stroke, maybe chaotic person. So someone like this might be what I'm after. They have a favoured weapon. They don't have none of the religions have the favoured weapon that I want. The domain side of it, I don't have any, so it doesn't really matter. I feel like that's more important for your clerics, your oracles, the types where obviously the types where you can choose domains. It may restrict you to which domains you can pick, maybe, I don't know. Because I'm going with companions mainly, I might have one mercenary, haven't decided yet, just in case. I feel like I just have to go with what I've got because I don't get to change them. So on my choice here, I'm going to go Shaylin. I don't know how you pronounce it, because I have the options of being good, but I can be lawful, neutral, or chaotic. I do tend to go neutral. I'm not really, maybe a bit chaotic. I'm not playing a lawful type of character, and I tend to find the decisions for lawful ones, I don't naturally want to choose, but I've got all the options here. I think I've got a favourite weapon of glaive. Again, if I'm going with Fauchard, I don't feel like that's going to be overly useful to me, but maybe I don't know. There's no better choice that I can see. I'm staying two-handed, and that has the right alignments for me, so I'm going to go with this one. Hopefully it's not a bad choice, but time will tell. I'll stay neutral good, so I generally I either go full on good or full on evil. If I do a second playthrough, I probably will go full on evil to see how that, how the story changes on that basis. I tend to be a bit chaotic because I prefer to, follow my conscience rather than the law. I'm always a bit suspicious of the law. I don't know. It's the fact that they're they highlighted the options. I feel like I'm limiting myself to being good, and if I pick neutral good, I've got more slippage either way, for want of a better phrase. I don't know. Again, I've no idea if this is the thing in this game, but we'll go for that. Appearance. I know many people that can spend hours and hours just trying to get their character to look right, and then you go into the game and you can barely make out what your character looks like. It seems a bit like that in this game. I'm more into playing the game than what they look like. I don't really care what they look like too much, but I'll just mess around a little bit just to make sure he's not standard. there. Let's give him some stubble, because you know he's got time to shave. And colours, I really don't care that much. Red seems a bit, yeah, that seems a bit. No, let's go for. Okay, yeah, we'll go with black, because that's a bit more intimidating, maybe. Okay, and then we got choice of voices. Now,
beautiful. None shall escape.
I'll go ahead.
Don't know, don't care. And off we go. Combat is adjourned.
We cannot be defeated.
Enemy near.
Our time has come.
Forwards! No.
I'll take care of it.
I can find better.
You're done for.
okay, we'll go for that one. Again, I don't think you're going to notice it too much as you're playing the game, but you don't want it to be annoying, do you? Now, this is the worst part. I've got to pick a name. I am terrible about name. I don't think the birth stuff means anything. What name do I want on my character? I normally pick characters I like out of books or whatever, but I mean, a mutagen fighter. I mean, the obvious choice seems to be someone like Geralt from The Witcher, but yeah, I don't know, it seems too obvious to me. I don't know, let me pause it for a second and give that some thought. Do that. Why didn't that work? Okay, I've decided to settle on Andre. I don't really know why, but I don't like wasting too much time trying to pick a name, so that's what I will go for. Okay, so there we are. We have my character. He's complete. He is ready to go. There are a lot of abilities to look at. That's the acrobatics one I was thinking about with the mobility. I don't have rage, so maybe one of my other characters will. Don't think I'll be using that. Another character will use that. Fight defensively in a pinch I might use. That's why I'm going for the mobility 3, because it gives me the extra bonus to AC. The coup de grace, that has potential to be quite useful if you've managed to make an opponent helpless. You can do a lot of damage to them, so I think that will be useful. I don't really care about the pickpocket stuff other than the extra initiative. Got plenty of armour and weapon choices. I've got my skills over here. Yeah, I look like I'm ready to go. My default armour is okay. Touch armour. Again, I don't know what the sort of base starting points are for other characters, but that feels like a solid choice. We will find out, I guess. So I think I will stop this episode here and we'll move into the game on the next one. Thank you for watching.